Hey sellers, getting ready to sell your home this spring? Well, I'm here with some advice about what staging is and what it isn't. Hey sellers, my name is Erica Galinas and welcome to my seller tip video. This week we're going to talk about staging. I have a lot of clients ask me, usually at that very first listing appointment, how do I stage my home for showings? Obviously sellers want to figure out what the best way they can present their house is, and the idea is that if you stage your home, it's going to look the best it possibly can be, get 1 million buyers and eventually you get $1 million on your sale. However, staging isn't always defined the way a seller thinks it is. So what usually happens when we think about staging is, some people come in, they kind of rearrange your furniture, maybe they get some new decorations or take some decorations down, declutter stuff, bam, staged, voila, perfect home, perfect house, $1 million buyer. However, staging isn't really that simple. Honestly, if you call a staging company and ask them to come in and stage your house, it's going to cost you a pretty large amount of money to get that done. There's a reason for that. They're not just trying to rip you off, and it has to do with the idea of what staging is and what staging isn't. Unfortunately, going to Home Goods and buying some fake succulent plants, and maybe a canister that says flower on the front of it and putting it on your counter isn't really staging. When we stage your house, we probably, maybe we'll move some furniture. Probably we are going to put a plant somewhere, those kinds of things. But staging isn't really about decorating. Staging is about building a lifestyle. So the biggest misconception about staging is that it's the same thing as decorating. This is not correct. So when you're trying to stage your house, what you're actually doing is trying to make a buyer get a certain feeling from your house. You may have a living room. You want it to be, a living room, and you have a couch and probably a TV, maybe some books, a little decorative candle on a pillar. Those things are just decorations. What you want your buyer to feel is cozy. Maybe you have a home office and you have, some built-in shelves, a nice big wood desk, and pens and pencils in a little cup. Again, those are decorations and they're all excellent. But what do you want the buyer to feel about that room? Do you want it to feel efficient? Do you want it to feel quiet? Do you want it to feel imposing? Those kinds of adjectives, those kinds of feelings make the difference between staging and decorating a space. When I'm asked by a seller to help them stage their home, I'm actually hearing kind of a different question. What they're saying is mostly, how do I decorate? What do I declutter? Should I move my couch? What I'm thinking is, how can we stage this home to attract the right kind of buyer for this kind of house in this kind of market? So a lot of what staging is telling a story, and I will tell you the absolute masters of staging are Ikea. I don't know, you've seen an Ikea catalog, hopefully you've been to their store and seen the showrooms. They are amazing at staging an area to make a consumer, a buyer in this case, really understand what that space can be and really put a feeling into their hearts about, wow, this Ikea furniture is fabulous. Let's say you need a bathroom vanity. You could get this bathroom vanity from this seller. It's great. It's a very nice vanity. I really like, the kind of deco vibes it gives. You can see that it has a nicer soap dispenser on it, just like any regular kind of retailer photo. Now, let's look at this one from Ikea. As you can see, this staging from Ikea is head and shoulders above the other retailer. Why? Because it makes you feel something. Again, don't worry necessarily about the vanity styles. Not everybody's into deco or into natural wood. Think about what the picture says about the bathroom vanity. They're both trying to sell the same thing. The retailer says, this is a very nice functional bathroom vanity with a little flair. The Ikea picture says, look at this bathroom. Couldn't you just imagine standing here? You just took a shower. The air's kind of steamy. There's all these nice green plants. All these little things that make a bathroom a space that gives you a feeling instead of a product that gives you a bathroom vanity, I guess. That's the difference between decorating and staging. So let's say, this happens a lot. I have a seller, they have a nice finished basement, and in the corner, they have an exercise bike or an elliptical because that's where they stand and work out while they watch TV or whatever it is that they do. A lot of sellers will be like, what do I do with my exercise bike? Should I just get rid of it? Is it okay right there? So let's think about staging it. Let's think about how to make this little corner in the basement into something that a buyer can feel themselves in. Maybe go out and get, some carpet squares or those foam pads. Make a little, 5x7 little area in the corner around the exercise bike. Hang some cute little hooks on a wall and put a jump rope on one and hang a water bottle from the other. Maybe get a little cube. Again, go to Ikea, get a little cube, stack some free weights in there with a spot on top for maybe, your exercise journal or something else that you would need when you are actually exercising and getting enjoyment out of it. So now we've defined that space as a lifestyle space. It's an exercise space. We're not trying to hide this awkward exercise bike that doesn't match anything. We've spent very little money, put a couple quick decorations in there, and now you have a nicely staged corner of the basement that will appeal to a buyer that needs exercise space. One could say you gave the space good vibes. So vibes is a goofy, old-fashioned kind of word, but it kind of exactly describes what I'm trying to get to about this. The exercise room versus the exercise bike in the corner. The beautiful, plain, regular marble bathroom with a spa-like bathroom. Those are the kind of things that gives a buyer vibes. What we're trying to do is let a buyer see themselves in that space doing something, whether it's something they do on a regular basis, whether it's something aspirational they want to do in the future. Giving them feelings about a house is, assuming they're positive feelings, is always a good thing. So me telling sellers to give their house vibes seems like very hard to follow information and certainly not particularly helpful. So let's kind of look at this, just a regular single family home. You have a living room, you have a kitchen, you have some bathrooms, some bedrooms, basement, garage, all the different things that are in a house. So when you walk into these rooms, think about the vibes the room is giving off. You might have a bedroom that has a lovely bedspread and, like 13 pillows that all match. But what feeling is the bedroom actually giving you? Does it feel cozy? Does it feel boring? Does it feel even cold? This is a great staged photo. Think about the vibes this gives off. It's cozy. There's, actual things that people actually use. The bed isn't even really made, which seems kind of strange, but it totally works for the vibes of this picture. And here's one from a retailer. There's a big difference there. They're both selling bedroom furniture. They're both selling the same product, but the feeling between the IKEA bedroom and the retailer bedroom is unbelievably different. One wants to sell you furniture. I'm sure it's high quality furniture. It's awesome. IKEA is selling a lifestyle. It's selling you cozy. It's selling you modern, and it's giving you the feeling of what is actually happening in that room. That's the kind of thing you want to do for a buyer for your house. So when you're looking at staging a room, look at the function of the room. Is it a living room that's mainly used for watching TV? Is it a kid's bedroom that's mainly used for playtime? All the kind of things that just go on in your house in a regular room. Don't worry about decorating right now. That doesn't really have anything to do with it. What you want to do is think about why you love that room and then highlight those things. This does not necessarily mean you have to put everything away. For example, check out these garage pictures. Look at this first garage. I can't even stand how awesome this is. All this does is make me think about, man, I could spend $100,000 on woodworking tools and be Norm Abrams. I could set this all up to be my something awesome that I want to do in the garage that I don't really know what it could be but it's awesome. Look how big it is and it's all fancy. Now let's look at this garage picture. Obviously, much smaller. Not at all as fancy as the first one. But you know what I see here in this picture? I see somebody that's actually using this space as a woodworking space. You can see, there's some skateboards over here. So there must be, some areas around here where you can actually go skateboarding. Oh, look at these snowboards on this other side, meaning that we're at least within driving distance of a place that for part of the year I can do snowboarding. Wow. Oh, wait. Oh, look up top. There's all kinds of camping equipment there. So not only are there places, nearby that I can go to camp, but here's perfect storage for that part of my lifestyle. So looking at those two garage pictures, you can see the difference between good staging and bad staging. Again, the first picture is awesome and fancy, and certainly buyers with imagination can fill that space up with the things that they like to do. The second picture, I would probably advise the seller to, kind of put some of that stuff away, maybe arrange it a little more neatly. But there's no need to put all the tools on the pegboard in a bin. There's no need to put all that stuff away. Again, it's organized in such a way, not that it's decluttered so much as it is an actual useful garage area that has really good vibes for somebody who's into the outdoors, snowboarding, skateboarding, and working on their own stuff. So most of the advice in this video is a little more abstract versus concrete, practical steps that you can use to stage your house. Staging doesn't have to be this artsy, philosophical, like what does it make you feel kind of thing. It really can be used day-to-day function in an ordinary house that you're trying to sell in an ordinary market. So a lot of sellers think you should just declutter everything. Put everything away. You know, it's not so much heavily imprinted with one person's decorative style versus the style of a potential buyer. Those are all good things. But it's not always the right thing to do. Let's think of like a home office. Again, practical information. You have a home office. A lot of people do now. What is the vibe that you want to have in that office? What is the style of the room and how do you use it? Is it a home office room with nice heavy wood shelves and a big desk? You know, a very efficient space, a very almost formal space. Those are the feelings of the space. And it's not because you put your pencil jar away. It's because that is how that office is designed and how it's been used. Maybe your home office is a little more informal and fun. You know, maybe there's a window seat where, you know, your kids can hang out while you work. Maybe there's a big window, lots of sunlight landing on you while you're doing your work. That is also a different vibe for an office space in a home. Both of them are awesome. Both of them have buyers that are going to respond to that kind of feeling. But again, it's more about the feeling as opposed to the papers on the desk or the decorations on the wall. Sometimes you have a space that's just empty, like maybe it's kind of boring. You don't really use it for anything. What vibes am I going to do there? What am I going to sell about this location in my house? Think about what you can do with that space to give it a feeling for a new buyer. Maybe a blank, awkward countertop space that you never really use because it's on the other side of the refrigerator. You know, go out, make a little coffee bar kind of thing there. Make it into something that is usable for a buyer, that they can see how that space can be used to enhance their lifestyle. Make it look like a space that's actually used. Not necessarily you, because you never really used it because it was kind of just a boring space. But again, every space in a house can tell a story to a buyer. Hey, there's a little bench, there's a wicker basket for all their stuff, some hooks for their coats, a shelf for their school books. This could really be an area you could see yourself in as a buyer. One very important note. Do not spend a lot of money on staging your house. Again, if you're not going into Architectural Digest, if you're not trying to sell your property to an overseas investor that makes $35 million, these should all always be zero or no cost projects when you stage your house. I don't even know if I would recommend Ikea for most of this stuff. A, because you usually have to drive so far, and B, you know, some of their stuff can be kind of expensive. And again, you want to keep this low or zero cost. So maybe, you know, if you want to highlight this awesome storage space in your pantry, but it's kind of disorganized and looks a little yuck, you know, clean everything off nicely, go to the dollar store, get some nice little wicker baskets, and put your spices in there or something like that. You can do staging on a low cost budget, absolutely. Maybe you have a front entryway that's just kind of there and you want to give it a little pizzazz. Again, dollar store stuff can totally work. You can get something for shoe storage, you can get hooks for dog leashes, all these different kinds of things that you actually use that space for and not spend a lot of money. Even better, let's say you're going through your house room by room, you know, decluttering, doing some staging of these rooms, and you end up with an extra piece. Maybe you had shelves in the kids' room and it had all these wicker baskets with all the different toys. Well, you got rid of all those toys because they outgrew them, I don't know how many years ago. Now you have all these nice baskets. Repurpose those. Use those in your pantry. Use those in your master bath for your towel collection, something like that. Again, the more you can reuse things and spend zero cost on staging, the better off you're going to be. Ultimately, staging is an art, and it's absolutely okay if you don't have the experience to be an expert in it. But remember, you know your house the best, and you know why it's a wonderful place to live. Use that to make it as inviting to a buyer as possible, and show them how great the space is and how good those vibes are. Thanks for joining me talking about staging. I know it's a big issue. I can certainly help you with that no matter where in the country you live. You can always call or text me anytime, 219-765-2062. If it's easier, you can always email me at hsbyerica@gmail.com. Check out more fun tips, maybe home valuations, buyer searches. You can always do that at my website at homesalesbyerica.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like these videos, certainly subscribe to my channel. You can always ring the bell to get updates. I do these once a week along with my market update videos. And certainly if you have any questions, if you have any comments about staging or anything we've talked about in this video, please leave them down below. I'm always excited to interact with my audience and I really appreciate it. Thanks guys, and I'll see you next week.